This episode is made possible by Roundel. Partner with Roundel to reach over 165 million guests who look to Target for joy and inspiration. Together with you, they'll design curated media solutions that are a seamless extension of the Target experience. It's all backed by unparalleled first-party data and also measurement. You can learn more at roundel.com.
There's less room to add people now than there was when streaming was new. You're competing for finite entertainment dollars, and there's not a ton of people adopting streaming services who already don't have them. You have to convince people who already stream to pay for your service.
Hey gang, it's Monday, June 10th. Ross and listeners, welcome to the Behind the Numbers Daily, an eMarketer podcast made possible by Roundel. I'm Marcus, and I'm joined by a chap who lives just north of New York City, where it's a little quieter. He is one of our senior analysts covering everything digital advertising and media. It's Ross Benish.
Hey Marcus, it's nice to talk to you from such a quiet room.
I bet. Today we're talking about streaming with and without ads, but we start with today's fact. Ross, trivia for you. Who has the long... I wasn't going to do this with college football because it's a bit close to home. I was going to do bold routes.
Oh, yeah, well, that one's easy. It's Nebraska.
Ross went to Nebraska. So I thought it was too close to home, although I have brought it up on the show already. So instead I went, who has the longest championship drought across the four major North American sports? If you can name one of the top five, because the top five does include includes three of the four major sports.
New York has got to be top five.
You would have thought, wouldn't you? Yeah, you're thinking the Knicks?
Are you saying for a city across anything? Because they haven't won anything in a long time.
Oh, I'm just talking about a specific team across any of the sports.
Oh, specific team-wise. Gotcha.
Yeah,
The Cleveland Guardians, who used to be the Indians, I think they've gone like 100 years since the World Series.
That's the second longest championship drought. Yeah, nearly. I think 76 years. Second longest championship drought. Cleveland Guardians.
Okay,
yep.
I don't know what number one is. That would have been.
By 1 year, it's the Arizona Cardinals. They last won a title in 1947.
I bet they weren't even in Arizona then.
Nope. No, they weren't. So, yeah, NFL's Arizona Cardinals, that's the longest, 77 years. Cleveland Guardians in baseball, 76. Baseball's Sacramento Kings, 71 years. Back to football, Detroit Lions, 66. And rounding out the top five is basketball's Atlanta Hawks, with they've gone 65 years since winning a chip. 77 years there, that's a long time to go. The Lakers haven't won it in 4 years, and I'm furious.
Yeah.
I don't know how some cities do it.
What year did you say? The 1940?
Yeah.
They would have been the Chicago Cardinals, it looks like.
Yes. Yeah.
They were all over the place. Chicago, Pittsburgh, St. Louis.
Yeah. Anyway, today's real topic, to ads or not to ads? That is the streaming question. Clever Shakespeare references. In today's episode in the lead, we'll cover ad-free versus ad-supported streaming. No another news today. There's too much to cover. So let's get started with the lead. So Ross, there was a New York Times article from John Coblin asking what happened to our ad-free TV. He writes that streaming TV came with a promise. Sign up and commercials will be a thing of the past. Netflix rose to dominance off the back of that ad-free promise, followed by others, but it didn't last long, he writes, as almost all the streamers now offer an ad-supported, cheaper tier. Apple TV Plus, is that the only holdout?
Among like the largest streaming services, yeah.
Right.
There's hundreds of streaming services, so that there is stuff that,
right.
Yeah.
Across the major ones. But Ross, let's start with this. I mean, we have seen it pivot from ad-free, paying more for it, to ad-supported, paying less for it or free. How many ad-supported viewers are there total today?
Well, in the U.S. population, that's about half the population. So, yeah.
And is that growing rapidly still? Is it kind of leveled off?
I wouldn't say it's growing rapidly. Where the growth comes from is growth in time spent. So there's not a whole lot of new people coming into streaming. Like if you use the internet, you're already probably streaming something. But people are increasingly going from spending 10 minutes a day to 20 minutes or a half hour a day to 45 minutes. Light users are becoming moderate users.
Okay. And you mentioned just over half of folks now ad-supported viewers. That was a quarter of people in 2019. before the pandemic. So that's incredible growth to go from a quarter to half. And now naturally it's going to slow down as we keep going. It does seem as though, Ross, more and more new folks are choosing cheaper alternatives when they're looking to sign up to streaming services. In Q1, 56% of new subscribers to streaming services chose the lower priced ad tier, according to Antenna. That's up from 39% a year ago. So more of those folks opting for that option when they join. What interests you the most about the battle going on here between the different players when we zoom in a bit on these ad-supported offerings?
We see a wide range in how dependent a given streaming service is on advertising. So Netflix advertising isn't really material to them yet. Less than $1 billion a year in the US this year is what we're forecasting. Their subscription business much larger, probably about 15 times the size. So you have someone like them on the extreme end of fewer than 10% of viewers are ad-supported today. They're growing from zero, though, not too long ago. And then you got Amazon, very ad-dependent service, very ad-dependent company at this point. They flipped the switch, made ads the default for Prime Video. Now 80% of Prime Video users are ad-supported. So, streaming services all offer a hybrid at this point for the paid streaming services do, except for Apple TV+. But the degree to which they really seek out and rely on ad-supported customers varies widely. Like Netflix and Max are on the low end, and then Prime Video and Peacock would be on the high end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because, as you mentioned, you've got Netflix, a very small share ad-supported, Max, a smallish share, Disney Plus, a smallish share as well, more than Netflix.
And those are all services that are relatively new to advertising.
Yes, yep, true. On the higher end, like you mentioned, Amazon Prime Video, 80% of their viewers are ad-supported. Peacock, close to 80%. Paramount Plus, over 70%. Hulu, also close to that number. So on the other end. So my question, Ross, is what's the right balance here? Does it really just depend by company, or are you going to see these companies all start to drift towards a 50-50 kind of model?
I think it definitely depends on the company. What works for one service doesn't have to be the model for another company. Like I think Netflix is going to lean more on subscription revenues for a long time than most of these streaming services have, because it's been very good for them. Like they've gotten people to pay $15+ a month, and they like their service without ads. They don't want to, make those customers hostile or upset or anything. They're getting a lot of the ad viewers from new signups. That's where they're more likely to get it. But that huge customer base that they already brought in, a lot of those people are willing to pay more to stay ad free, and I don't think that's a bad thing. So it really depends on how much subscription revenue services can drive, and like what the ultimate goal of the parent company is for using that service.
Right. But don't they pull in more typically from an ad-supported viewer than from an ad-free?
Typically, yeah, that's the case across streaming services.
Average revenue per user?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But you don't think Netflix will continue to kind of tip the scales in that direction because of that?
They're going to try to tip the scales a little bit in that direction. Like they have these bundles, like they have the one that they're doing with Comcast. Almost all the bundles that are being offered now heavily discount the ad-supported version.
Okay.
And, they're adding the live sports, which will have ads in it. So they are doing things to grow the ad revenue, but maintaining the subscription revenue is a bigger deal. It's a lot bigger pot of money for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're looking at top 5 ad-supported streamers, right? So if you break it down by millions of people, this year, Amazon Prime Video, as Ross mentioned, they flipped the switch. So now those folks are ad-supported by default, and you can pay if you want to get rid of them. But that's 130 million people. In second place, way behind, close to half as many, is Hulu, 84, and Roku Channel, 83. So the top 3. In terms of over the next 4 years, though, we expect Disney Plus to add the most in terms of millions, add the most ad-supported viewers, 24 million, Netflix and Hulu to add 21 million. That's over 4 years, though, Ross. That seems slow to me, to add 5 million each year. I thought they would have been adding more. But to your point, they're quite content with the ad-free people and how much they're paying for the service.
Yeah, and there's less room to add people now than there was when streaming was new. Yep. Like you're competing for finite entertainment dollars, and there's not a ton of people adopting streaming services who already don't have them. You have to convince people who already stream to pay for your service. Well, there's 6 other options they could be paying for.
Yeah. So the promise of ads on streaming was that they would be better, that they have data about you and they don't have to, share the same generic ad with everyone, that they can be more targeted based on the data that they have about the individual user. President of ad sales at Disney, Rita Ferro, was saying that there was always this notion that people don't like ads. I don't think that's true, she says. People don't like bad advertising or a bad ad experience. She says that in a data-rich streaming world, the ad experience is better informed than it was on traditional TV, and the company knows what a person's viewing preferences are and what products are relevant to you. In your opinion, how much better are streaming ads?
They're not better at all. There's just less of them, so that's better. Like if you
Right.
have 4 minutes of ads per hour versus 15 for linear, that's a better user experience. But you see ad repetitiveness all the time still. I think frequency capping has probably gotten a little better than it was a few years ago, but it's still a major issue. Still, sometimes you'll see a show where everything is a house ad. It's like almost as if nothing got sold, even though there's all this advertising demand. So there's some weird things going on with yield management still that make the ad experience a lot like traditional TV, and certainly I don't think it'd be viewed superior if you talk to people who aren't in the ad industry.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of less ads, John Coblin of the New York Times noting just a few years ago, an episode of a prestige basic cable drama like Ryan Murphy's American Crime Story was interrupted by 21 minutes of ads, whereas on Disney Plus, the average amount of time for commercials is 4 minutes per hour, and on Hulu, it's just over 6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever watch like one of those new Godzilla movies on TNT, that's like half your day because you take all the ads. But if you go and watch it on Max, it's a better experience, not because like each individual ad hits me so much harder. There's just fewer of them. Yeah.
So we mentioned the Amazon Prime Video currently on top in terms of total ad-supported viewers, 130 million, and then Hulu and the Roku channel in a distant second. But we turn to the ad-free side of things, Ross. Who's top of the charts there?
Well, Netflix is
still there.
They're the biggest ad-free service by far. Like on a percentage basis, Max has most of its users on ad-free, has like a higher share. They don't have as many viewers total as someone like Hulu or Disney Plus does, but they lean heavily toward ad-free.
Okay. So Netflix the highest. Wonder what you think about this. So Brian Weiser, analyst and founder of the consulting firm Madison & Wall, says he expected that even with ads on streaming services, overall ad dollars would continue to fall for media companies. He estimates that the amount of time spent watching ads on TV, both streaming and cable, will fall by 24% from last year, 2023, to 2027. And so what does that look like, Ross, as these streaming platforms start to add advertising? Are media companies still going to be losing money in the long term as they pivot to streaming?
Well, you're losing money just on the ad side, you're saying, right?
Well, on the ad side, yeah, that's one part of it. And then zooming out for overall in terms of putting the two pieces together, subscriptions and advertising.
It does seem like streaming will probably be a little less profitable than linear was for most of these services. For the ad time, I think Brian is onto something there. Now, he is making projections based off of like current data. It's very possible 4 years from now, the ad load on streaming could be significantly higher than it is right now. I don't think it's ever going to reach linear, though. So you still are going to see erosion of inventory as he forecasted. It just might be a little bit less than 24%, but the prices will rise because they'll be scarce, or relatively scarce to what they are now, and more measurable and targeted in theory. So there will be less ad slots to fill, but I don't know if that has to equate to a total decline in revenue if you can charge more per unit. And I think that's what they'll be looking to do is, streaming ad prices in general, it costs more than linear. So as the total amount of inventory becomes less linear centric, it'll become more expensive per ad.
So let's zoom right out, because you put together some research on this. How much money is coming into streaming from advertisers and then also from people paying for it, so from paid subscriptions?
So it's about 2/3 is paid subscriptions. That's the fees that, you pay with your credit card when you sign up for Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever. And about 1/3 is advertising. And that's all ads coming into streaming, not just the subscription stuff, but also YouTube and, Tubi and Roku.
Okay. Is that shifting over the next couple of years, that ratio?
It's getting a little bit more ad supported. Like the total share of streaming revenue that came from subscriptions used to be even higher, but it's not going to get anywhere close to half for the foreseeable future. It's still going to be primarily subscriptions. It'll just, it might go from 2/3 to 60% over a 5-year period or something like that.
Okay.
By the way, that mimics what linear TV is very similar. They've always been since the advent of like modern cable, it's been more so subscription fees than ad revenue. People are paying over $100 for like Comcast. So
yeah. Well, that leads me nicely into my last question, which is in a couple of years' time, Ross, I mean, how will the way folks consume TV content and pay for TV content differ from how people used to subscribe to cable, if at all? Is it just going to, in a few years' time, be like, oh, it's just cable delivered via streaming, but the way that people pay for things, to your point, the ratio between paid subscriptions versus advertising, the way things are getting bundled, the way that people are watching similar channels, similar content. What differences, if any, are there going to be in a couple of years when you compare the two?
Well, there's going to be a lot more coming and going. So you used to, you would pay for Dish Network and you'd be locked in. That's not going to happen. You're going to be a la carte and shift your services around as your show or your sport ends. So that's good for consumers, that you're not locked into things and you can shift your entertainment budget around as you see fit throughout the year. The downside is it's going to get a lot more confusing, especially for sports fans, because there might be 4 or 5 different places that will show your team or even a specific game, and figuring out what is the cheapest way to access it. And if you already might get that product for free, whether through a bundle or your telecom or a service you forgot that you subscribe to, it's something you have to like really keep top of mind. It isn't just as simple as like, well, I have my cable, I turn it on and I flip the channels. NBA's coming on. Oh, do I still have the Bleacher Report add-on with Max? Should I get Venue? What about upgrading to a vMVPD? There's like all sorts of options to watch a particular thing.
Yeah. I think that you're right, there will be more moving around, more bouncing around between services. But I think that's going to slow down, and not just a little bit, like relatively considerably, because yearly discounts, I think more streaming services are going to offer yearly packages, and that could, people especially now trying to save money, that could be quite appealing. So maybe people like locked into longer term deals. Consolidation of services, less services to kind of move around too. And then also there's kind of content gaps getting filled in. I think you're right. When the NBA season finished, I would be like, okay, do I need a YouTube TV? But now WNBA, I've started watching that, and that's there, so I've subscribed to that, and so I do need it for the summer. So what do you think of the pace of how often people are going to be moving between services? What's that going to look like?
Well, you make good points about the consolidation and things becoming more centralized, but I feel like over the past year it's gotten more confusing. So we're still a ways away from it getting simplified. The yearly stuff does keep you locked in long. I mean, I signed up yearly for Max, and I felt like I was probably more committed to it. I mean, even if you churn out, you still have the login for however many months are left on it. So there is that, but the bifurcation hasn't stopped, and some of the stuff that used to be exclusive to one service is like everyone's licensing now to Netflix again. So like,
right,
you don't need Max to watch Sex and the City, or like the top Viacom show might be on, or Paramount, I should say, might be on Netflix now. So there isn't the exclusivity stuff that there used to be. So it's figuring out where something is at can change month to month, and you have to like use realgood.com or read something like Decider to like just keep track of it.
Right. All right, that's where we have to leave today's episode. Ross, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thanks, Marcus.
And thank you, of course, to Victoria, who edits the show, Stuart, who runs the team, and Sophie, who does our social media. And thanks to everyone for listening. And we hope to see you tomorrow for the Behind the Numbers Daily. That's an eMarketer podcast made possible by Roundel.